folks, I'm Vasel, and welcome to Look Back. This is a series where I'm going to take a look at games that I reviewed 1 year, 5 years, and 10 years ago, and tell you what I think about them today. So we're going to go back to last year. First of all, I have Kingsport Festival, the card game. Now, Kingsport Festival itself was based on Kingsburg, but with a Cthulhu theme. And it's a good game. It takes up a lot of table space, but it's a good, solid game. This is the card game version of that, and it was just very straightforward. Each turn, it's like, what am I going to get? What can I afford? This single card? Okay, that's what I'll take. And I just found that to be not broken, but just very much a straitjacket of a game. Then we have the Chocobos Crystal Hunt. This was a really bad game. Company's really nice people, but this is just, I'm playing a card, trying to get Chocobos, and it's just all luck. All luck, luck. No real decisions in this game. Cannot recommend it. Then I have Barrage Battle. This is a game in which you have a bunch of characters and then you're running around on this mat, and they're going to be rolling dice and attacking each other, and it's just boring, lucky. You know, it's like, hey, let's try to mix dexterity and die rolling in a game. No, it doesn't really work. Not in this particular game, too. And there's also a lot of other problems. This doesn't look very good, the graphic design and so on. Yoon, another game where I felt kind of like in a straitjacket as you are going down a river and trying to do different things in this river by playing these cards from your hand. You're drafting these actions, but there's so much symbology in this game, first of all, that's really not needed. The actions are not really that different from each other, and the different things you can do are just not that exciting. It's like, ooh, I control this area, I control this region, I'm going to get points. It just felt very confined. Flip City Wilderness. I like Flip City a lot, but this expansion I did not enjoy as much. Flip City itself I enjoyed because there were multiple ways for you to win in the Flip City. There were two ways, but they were two very distinct ways, like getting a whole pile of cards or getting a certain number of victory points. Flip City Wilderness kind of took that away, and also a lot of the actions in it just weren't as interesting to me. Swirl Rush. This is a game in which you're, basically have these squirrels and you're moving around on the board. It's not this fantastic style game, but it is a solid little, okay, I'm going to move and I'm going to take these squirrels and watching the numbers as they go up or down. It works, but it's not amazing. Portal of Heroes, kind of the same thing as a card game where you're going to be playing different sets of cards to get these. There's a lot of craziness in the game. The artwork itself is really well done in this game. I like how the game looks, but it's kind of just a nice, simple set collection style game. Mole Rats in Space. This is from Matt Leacock. It's a cooperative game, but it's a cooperative game for little kids. You have these little mole rats, and you are trying to get them into the escape pod, and there's snakes running around the board. So each turn, a kid will have basically two options. Which way do you want to go? And they're trying to pick the better option. So for very young kids, this is a good idea. It gives them some good options, and they're working together as a team in a theme that they'll enjoy. Isle of Monsters, a game in which you are collecting monsters, a set collection style type game as you're getting these different monsters that are on the board as you get the resources you want, and the number of players affects what resources are available to people. It's an interesting game with a fun theme. Then we have Unfair. Unfortunately, Unfair is a game I did not enjoy as much. Unfair is a game about building an amusement park, which I really like. I like the idea here of building an amusement park, but it's essentially, and I also like the idea of the smash up where you're putting these different decks together and each game is going to feel differently with the different themes. The themes I don't think were that differentiated. To take that in the game, it's called Unfair, so I understand it. Just take that. I felt it was too strong and too powerful for a game where like, ooh, look what I'm building up, and someone's like, nope, sorry, you just lost some points there. It didn't feel very satisfying to me. King of Tokyo, Cthulhu. This was the first single monster expansion for King of Tokyo. So far there's been only two. But they really add a lot to the game. Not just because they add another monster with special abilities that work in King of Tokyo and King of New York. I like that. But also the fact that there is something in them that adds to the whole game itself. So in Call of Cthulhu, in Cthulhu, for King of Tokyo, there are cultists. And these cultists, you can have them follow you. You can eat them for energy. It's just a fun little addition to the game. And then finally, Ethnos from a year ago. Ethnos is a game that has been consistently getting better and better for me. This is a game that doesn't look like that much, but it is a set collection game and area control. And in this game, each game is going to have different fantasy creatures that you are going to be picking and choosing and using those fantasy creatures to take control. Each fantasy creature has a special ability. Every game feels different, but also very strategic. Really like this one. Okay, so let's jump 5 years ago. 5 years ago, we have Star Trek, the deck builder for the next generation. Oh no, I'm sorry, the original series. But man, I just really didn't enjoy this one very much. It just felt like a random deck builder. They had this deck, these 9 cards out there, and you're going to grab cards and add them to your deck. Meh, it just didn't work. There's so many good deck builders out there. I can't really recommend this one. Then we have Alcatraz, the Scapegoat. This is an interesting game in which you're all trying to escape from prison, so it's kind of cooperative, but you're trying to pick one person to be the scapegoat, and then that person doesn't get to leave the prison and they lose. Semi-cooperative games very rarely work, and in this case, this one doesn't work that well. It's a great theme, but the game itself isn't as interesting. Then we have Exile Son. This one has dropped a little bit for me. It's a big space game, except that it's not as big as it looks. So there's big, hexes and ships moving around, but it's a little more abstracted. It's a decent game, and you're just trying to get ships into the right spots and things like that, but it's okay. Clubs. This is a, North Star Games was like, hey, we have hearts, we have spades, now let's make clubs. Well, it's an okay game. It's just, a trick-taking style game. Then a few years later, Mike Fitzgerald made Diamonds, which was a really good game. And so we all forgot about clubs. But, it exists. Chicago, this is a kind of an area control game, or, like Chicago, it's the mobster theme again a little bit with this thing, and it's just dropped. It's one of those games at the time I was like, yeah, this isn't so bad. And now I look back at it and go, yeah, very, very forgettable. Then we have Serenissima. Now, Serenissima is one of those games that I look back on and I'm like, oh, 5 years ago was a re-review of it. I think the new version of it. But the first time I saw Serenissima, I was like, wow, what a great game. You have these ships moving around, and you put guys on your ships, and the more guys you have in a ship, the faster it goes, and you can attack other people's ships. The fewer guys, the more goods you can put on the ship. Great components and things like that. But in the end, there's just some pretty strong luck to the game, and it's a little fiddly, and if someone decides to just go and attack other players, they can kind of mess it up for everyone else. So it's okay. It's just I don't think it has held up as well with more modern games. Then we have Hopple, the Rise of Rome. I don't think many people are talking about Hopple now since they've come out with their much more highly rated fantasy game from the same company, but with the poker chips here to represent the health and the Roman arena stuff. It works. I don't think it's great, but it works really well. You're just running around with your gladiators, and as you take hits, your poker chips go down. That concept itself is a lot of fun. Then we have Tokaido. This is that very peaceful Zen-style game. It's had expansions, and I know there's probably a lot of people in the Dice Tower who like this more than me. I think it's good. Nothing to write home about, but it's nice. How far do you want to move? Get some points, and the expansions do help it and make it better. Then we have Shark. Shark is a mean, nasty game. It is very similar to Acquire, in which you have these different companies, but you are making the companies basically attack each other. And as these companies grow and move on the board, you can really beat someone down in this game. I like it. It's a good stock market style game, but with some nasty knives that come out in it. Bottle Imp. This game I think is being reprinted, or just was reprinted. One of the best trick-taking games I've ever played, especially for 3 players, in which you're all playing different cards. And the cards are 3 different colors, but the colors don't matter so much, except they have to follow the suit, but there's only one of every number. But you don't want to play that lowest number because you can get that bottle, and that bottle, whoever has it at the end of the game, at the end of a round, is going to actually score negative points based on a story by Robert Louis Stevenson. Really strong game. And then we have the great Heartland Holding Company. This is a game that I enjoy a lot because it's a little pickup and delivery game. There's a lot of big pickup and delivery games. This one's very small. You have trucks. You put the cards out on the board, and you're going to be moving around just delivering the goods back and forth. Very small, but works really well. 10 years ago, I took a look at just one game called APAP. APAP, it's an abstract strategy game. From a company that Glory of the Realm was their big game. This was one of their last hurrahs before they went out of business, and it was just a small little abstract game about light versus darkness. Meh, kind of forgettable. All right, those are the reviews I did 1, 5, and 10 years ago. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Look Back on the Dice Tower.